Hello, welcome back, my favorite movement enthusiasts, to today's episode of Hip Mobility. And I wanted to take the chance today to talk about the most common mistakes when it comes to people working on their hip health and why you are being held back or not achieving the efficiency you could when it comes to your hip health work. And it all has to do with people's misunderstanding of the difference between flexibility and mobility. While the two terms have been used interchangeably in the fitness community, there is quite the difference between the two. Flexibility refers to the ability of a muscle or a group of muscles to lengthen passively through a range of motion. It's primarily concerned with the elasticity of a muscle and its capacity to stretch. Things like touching your toes, for instance, fall under the flexibility category. Mobility, on the other hand, refers to the ability of a joint to move actively through its full range of motion. It involves not only flexibility, but also strength, coordination, and control. For instance, performing a deep squat with perfect form would fall under the mobility category, which is why only stretching the muscles that are connected to your hips mobility isn't only not enough, but it can also lead to an increased risk of injury if you don't work on the other aspects that are included in mobility, which is strength and control. So today I thought I'd share with you the most effective hip mobility exercises that you can do from the comfort of your home without any sort of equipment, and that will help you not only keep your hips healthy, but also increase your range of motion over time, their strength, as well as your coordination and your ability to move your hips through a long range of motion actively and with control. So if you're ready, let's get right into it. Now, since we've got a lot of moving parts when it comes to hip mobility, we've got our hip flexors, our extensors, we need to work on our hamstrings, on our abdominals, on our obliques even, to work on our hip mobility. So we will start with the easiest exercises first and then work our way up to more advanced stuff, so you at least have a progression to go through. If you're a total beginner, start right here. If you're more advanced, then you can go to the more advanced exercises. Now, for the exercises we are starting with, if you don't have the strength to sit upright like so, then do them with a wall behind you. This is going to help you progress in the beginning, and the stronger you become in your hip flexors and your abdominals, and the more limber you become in your extensors, the more you will be able to sit fully upright without needing any sort of flexibility or strength. So either you have a wall behind you and you're sitting fully upright, or you're doing this from your own strength. First exercise, pull in your leg and extend it again. Very simple, very easy. All we're doing is working our hip flexor in the strength part and then extending in once more. Pull it in and extend. Now, the more upright you are in your upper body, the more you will have a stretch in your posterior chain as well when doing this exercise. And we can work very actively by flexing actively here and by flexing actively here. Extend and switch. Extend and switch. Now, without having to change starting positions, we can already move on to the next exercise, which will be a combination between raising for our anterior chain strength. We are flexing our quads, our hip flexors, and of course, our abdominals. Put it down and put it up again. Extend it. You can pull in your toes for a little bit more stretch in your Achilles as well as your calves. Put it back down and raise. Now we will start with dynamic movements, just up and down and switch legs. And over time, we will start adding static holds at the highest point of the exercise. So we go up, we hold for 3, 2, 1, release and switch it up. 3, 2, 1, release the tension and go for the next repetition. And now we can move on to adding our first flexibility part to our routine. We will start again from the same position. Raise your leg, and this time when putting it down, we're gonna move forward as much as we can. It doesn't really matter how long your range of motion is. If this is the end of your range of motion, that is totally fine. If you can get all the way to your toes, that's absolutely amazing. Over time, our range of motion will increase. That's why we're doing those exercises. Raise that leg, keep it extended, pull your toes in. You may do the 3-second hold at the very top. Put it down and pull your upper body as closely as you can to your leg before sitting fully upright again, strengthening our hip flexors and our quads, stretching our entire posterior chain in our legs, And once we put it down and move forward, we're now adding posterior chain stretch in our lower back as well. And we're even lengthening our shoulders and lengthening our back musculature as an added bonus. Now we have our first switch in positions, and all we need to do for this one is take those extended legs and open them a little bit wider. We're once again gonna combine a strength aspect, like so, by raising. If you wanna have your hands on the ground, that's totally fine. If you have more core strength or you wanna add more core strength and hip flexor strength to the exercise, then put your hands away. Put that leg down, and now we're gonna move laterally to the side. This is gonna add some lat stretch as well as some oblique stretch, and that is gonna help us over time with our hip mobility when our abdominals are really loose and limber. So now we're gonna up for 3, 2, 1, and hold for 3, 2, 1. Up for 3, 2, 1, and hold for 3, 2, 1. And before we switch, we're gonna add another level to this exercise. Both hands on the ground, raise your legs, and then we're gonna try and touch both our feet, going into a straddle stretch or a pancake stretch before we move dynamically once again into raising and lowering our upper body. Complete posterior chain stretch, complete anterior chain strength. All the way up with both of them, all the way down, upper body as closely to the ground as possible. Once again, we can do this with a wall behind us, and we don't have to move all the way forward. If this is the longest you can grab, and that is absolutely fine. Which brings us to our next exercise. You've definitely noticed that we've been working a lot on the strength of our hip flexors, but haven't stretched them at all. In fact, we have been stretching mostly our posterior chain only, which is why in this exercise, we will be combining both. Stretching our anterior chain, our hip flexors, which we've been strengthening for the past couple of exercises. We're gonna push forward into this long lunging position. We're also working on our ankle mobility. We have added knee mobility, always great, and we have our hip mobility right there. Push forward as much as you can. We're lengthening our hip flexor here on the left, as well as strengthening our posterior chain, our extensors. And when we move backwards, once again, we're gonna elevate. A lot of core strength here, especially because of all the balance and the stabilization. 3, 2, 1. Release, and once again push forward. Now we have an anterior chain stretch on the left side, a posterior chain stretch on the right side, which means that of course we will have to switch starting positions for the other leg. Push forward, flex your entire posterior chain, push your knee forward, lengthen your hip flexors and your quads before you reverse and elevate for another 3, 2, 1, and move into our lunging position again. Now here is our first mid-level to somewhat advanced exercise, and it's only gonna get harder from here on. You can still use them, you can try and get into them, and you can try do them with a wall behind your back, because we're gonna have to start in a deep squat position. Now, if your feet cannot fully touch the ground, and if you are a little bit shorter here, your heels raised, that is totally fine. You're gonna require a little bit more strength for the exercises, but over time, our heels will start and go flat on the ground, which means that we are mobile enough in our ankles to do deep squats or resting squats. And from here, we're gonna start with internal rotation in our hip joint before reversing the movement. We are rolling over our toes, touching down in the middle and back again. So now we're strengthening those hip flexors once more, and we're taking our hip through a rotational, internal rotational movement, like so, left side, and our right side. And then of course, we're gonna add to this exercise by combining internal rotation in both legs, meaning we're crossing over internal on the right side for a long movement, internal on the left side for a short movement. Reverse, and then the other side, left side long movement, right side short movement. Now we are working on our coordination, we're working on our strength, as well as our core strength especially, and on our flexibility in our feet, in our calf musculature, and even in our quads in the lower insertions. Left side, right side for number 1, and cross over For number 2. Of course, you can do these exercises with your hands on the ground if you are missing the strength aspect or if you want to work more on the flexibility aspect. Now let's take this thing even further by including external hip rotation. Internal, we already got that down. We're pretty good at this one. And then we're gonna combine. We roll over here, flatten our foot, lengthen our tibialis, and then external rotation in the left side. And now we're gonna use our hip flexor strength, our quad and our abdominal strength to stand up with both legs before we move into the other direction. Internal rotation and external rotation. Stand your legs up. Switch directions. Internal rotation, external rotation. If you need the help from your hands, you can do this. And if you don't, you can do this. Now I want to add one final level to this exercise so we can include a little bit more stretching and adding more spinal rotation because our back, once again, is included when it comes to hip mobility. We're going to start with our internal rotation. Already know that. Our external rotation, we're already pros at that. And then we're going to start turning our upper body into a more and more rotational spinal position. And from here, we want to go all the way down, face to the ground. And you're going to notice the lower you go, the more lumbar rotation and even thoracic rotation we will have. But we also have much more stretch in our quads and in our hip flexors, because as you have noticed, we have been stretching more for the posterior, and now we have even more stretch for the anterior chain. So bring that face down, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sit up, and then either with your hands helping you or from your own mobility, turn internally, externally, turn your upper body and bring it down to work on the other side. Lengthened in our tibialis, lengthened in our quads, lengthened in our hip flexor, rotated in our spine, and lengthened in our obliques and latissimus as well. All the way up, reverse the movement, turn sideways, all the way down. And there you have it, a full mobility routine that will help you keep your hips healthy, work on your range of motion, make them stronger, and overall reduce your chances of injury and staying healthy for longer periods of time. But with that said, sadly, once again, that's all the time I have left for you today. However, if you like the video and subscribe and check out other videos on this channel because we literally have new ones every single day. So until tomorrow, Captain Cairo, peace out.